In 2026, buying a home in the Philadelphia suburbs requires a bit more than just scrolling listings and submitting an offer. Shifting interest rates, low inventory, and sophisticated sellers can make this market challenging for the buyer in 2026. Buyers need a strategy. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to go over what to expect as a buyer in this new 2026 Philadelphia suburbs market, and I'm going to explain how I can help you find the home of your dreams despite what the market might be telling you right now. So let's look at the Philadelphia suburbs generally first. What's the current state of the market? Why are people saying it's hard to buy right now? Well, we're going to take a step back and say, why Philly? Philly is a competitive market right now for four main reasons. One is the proximity to the city. It's an amazing city. I think it's the best city in the country right now. Go Birds. It is a commuter city for people in both Washington, D.C. and in New York. I mean, if you're up in Bucks County, it's like an hour and a half shot up into New York. Maybe you're down in Westchester and you can go right through Maryland. It's about an hour and a half shot down to D.C. This is a perfectly located city, and because of that, you're going to see a lot of buyer competition. Beyond that, maybe the best schools in the country, certainly in the state. It's very important to individuals who are looking to maybe start a family, for those who already have a family. There's going to be a lot of competition to get into these quote-unquote elite school districts. So that's going to drive buyer competition up as well. And beyond that, it's beautiful, particularly the walkable downtowns, whether you're up in Doylestown, if you're down in Westchester where I grew up, boy, has that changed over the last 30 years, or any of these beautiful mainline towns like Wayne, like Bryn Mawr, like Ardmore. There's going to be a lot of competition to get access to these amazing towns, these amazing school districts, and to have proximity to three major metro centers. Beyond that, let's talk very briefly about zoning. It is hard to build around here, and because of that, land values get driven through the roof. The combination of a lot of desire to be here with limited ability to scale very far beyond what has already been built drives competition up and can make buying a challenge in the Philadelphia suburbs. Beyond that, let's talk about today's interest rates. So I think 10-year treasuries at 4.25 right now. Mortgage rates are just over 6, I think 6.1 or 6.15 last I looked. So a lot of people, what they're, for better or worse, doing is comparing that to a few years ago, that 21-22 window when rates were through the floor. I cannot promise that rates are going to come back down to that level in the near future. I can't predict that they're going to come back down to that level in the long term either. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be looking to buy your dream house now. Rates are not everything in this market. You should absolutely consider them. They're a factor. They're going to change what you pay. But there are other things that buyers should be focused on in addition to mortgage rates. The first is monthly payment comfort. So I like to ask buyers, what are you comfortable paying monthly? When you're thinking on that grand scale of, do I want to pay, let's say, $700,000 or do I want to pay $800,000, that jump can feel horrific, frankly. I have to work for years to make up this difference because I made a decision back in 2026. It's easier to digest if you look at the monthly payments. It has a lot more practical application. Most people don't have annual budgets. They have weekly or monthly budgets, and it's easy to plug and play with those numbers. The second thing to consider when looking to potentially buy in 2026 is buy downs or seller credits. These can make an enormous difference in what you're paying on a monthly basis. Beyond that, look, maybe rates are going to absolutely crater. They're going to go through the floor again, and you're going to tell me, Eric, you gave me some of the worst advice ever. I'm watching all my friends buy at 2.5% right now. They're in these unbelievable homes paying a fraction of what I would have had to in 2026. Look, we want to structure these deals and we want to get you appraised in a way, we want to get you financing in a way that allows you to refinance later and take advantage of any major drops in the market that might come in the future. A well-negotiated deal today can be a lot more advantageous for a buyer than a poorly negotiated one when rates are a little bit lower. So beyond rates, I touched on this a little bit. Let's talk about inventory, competition, and how to time your offer. Inventory of the Philly suburbs is tight, and that's across the board. If you're looking at the main line, it's particularly tight. It's still very much a seller's market. Some homes are going in 1 to 2 weeks. If you look beyond that, up into Bucks County, down into Chester County, or west into Chester County, still a seller's market, but it's creeping up. 4 to 8 weeks is typical, so we're getting closer to that balanced market range. But just because there's high competition, it doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to find homes that are perfect for you and make financial sense. There are 3 main categories that I believe make sense to people and get overlooked a lot. 1, overpriced homes, and this can sound counterintuitive, but if you have an overpriced home, 1, it's probably not moving and there's probably going to be less competition, so you might have more negotiation power than you typically think of because of the last few years of the market. Beyond that, they're probably going to be willing to come down at some point and just get it off the market, because when you're looking at it from the seller's perspective, there's going to be the history of, look, this was listed maybe for 3 months, it didn't move, they took it off, brought it back on 3 months after that, and it's 25,000 lower. So now people are going to wonder, should this be going even further south? And then you have a chance to jump in before the competition takes up, when they just drop it so low that it becomes this amazing deal. The second category of homes to look for are the poorly marketed. You see this a lot in for sale by owner homes. You see this a lot in more rural areas of the suburbs. But if there's just not a lot of buzz around a home, then you might be able to be one of 3 offers, which obviously the chances are much higher than if you're one of 20 offers. So these are the ones to find. And you probably want an agent to help you find these. It's hard to find them when they're maybe off market, if they're not on Redfin, if they're not on Zillow. And then this is kind of part and parcel with the overpriced factor. But if homes are sitting longer than average, these can present unique negotiation opportunities where if you have an agent who's in your corner, who knows what they're doing, you can really take advantage and set yourself apart and maybe get a steal in the way that lower rates might give you a steal. So let's talk about specific winning strategies in a competitive market. Winning offers are not always the highest price. Does high price help? Yes, of course. People want to make money when they sell their homes. But in addition to that, they want clean offers, they want reliable offers, and at times they want flexibility in those offers. Just a brief story, when my wife and I were moving into this home, when we were looking to buy homes, we knew for a fact we were the highest offer on one of the homes we were looking at. But we were looking in, it was probably late spring at the time, and they wanted whoever was eventually going to get the home to move in October. So they wanted rent back for essentially half a year. They wanted 6 months rent back. And we just couldn't do that. We wanted to be up here. We were done with DC. And so someone who came in, I think 25,000 or something like that below us, ended up winning that offer because they had more flexibility in how they set up their deal. So in addition to that kind of flexibility with timelines, you also want strong but a modest, reasonable amount of earnest money. Sellers want to see that you have a reliable offer, but we want to structure these deals so that you are not cash poor when you move into this home. Strategic inspection terms. We're getting a little bit closer to a balanced market, still a seller's market, but not in the way where if you had inspections on the table a few years ago, you were in the pile they weren't even looking at. Now inspections are on the table, but depending on the age of the home, when it was built, the type of home, have there been recent renovations, what does the roof look like, what does the foundation look like, putting in certain inspections, waiving certain inspections, these can be big levers that we can pull to get you in the home of your dreams. And beyond that, clear, legally sound offers. Sellers get skittish when it feels like, hey, we might get to the closing table and these people might back out, whether it's because of lack of pre-approval, financing issues, maybe there's some last-second negotiations that someone just wasn't prepared to handle correctly. All of these things can freak sellers out. I want to put you in a position where you never have a seller who's uncomfortable walking to that closing table. That should be an amazing day. You should be getting ready to celebrate, going to have a good time with your family in your new house. It should be fun. Now, I am a lawyer, so I do want to touch on the legal side no matter how boring it might be, but there are more levers that we can pull in the legal side of the contract that can make your offer stand out. One is inspection language. A lot of people, a lot of agents, when they're putting together these contracts, it's just boilerplate. They're throwing in whatever their brokerage has, and maybe it's advantageous in the situation for you, maybe it's really not. So going through and changing specific language in terms of the inspections can make a big difference. Also, choosing which inspections to include or to waive can also be a large lever. Appraisal contingencies. These are nuanced, detailed contingencies within real estate contracts that can make a big difference. Having someone on your side that understands what levers to pull and when can make or break you buying a house in 2026. Beyond that, seller disclosures and, as I referenced, timelines can make a big difference in the outcome of your offer and getting to closing without any issues. As both an attorney and a realtor, I want to put both sides of my profession to work and help you get in the home of your dreams in 2026.